Hello, and welcome to The Marketing Architects, a research-first podcast dedicated to answering your toughest marketing questions. I'm Elena Hingle. I run the marketing team here at Marketing Architects. And today I am joined by my two co-hosts, Angela Voss, our CEO, and Rob DeMars, our Chief Creative Officer.
Hello. Might I say we now have mugs, so this is, pretty official now. I mean, that's pretty great.
Did you not tell me we were bringing the mugs today?
I always have my mug on the desk.
Well, we are back today with mugs and our thoughts on some recent marketing news. Again, always trying to root our opinions in data, research, and what drives business results. And today we are going to be talking about a story that's really been ongoing since 2020, but has recently dominated my and probably many others' personal news cycles, and that is a potential TikTok ban. So before we dive into the discussion, I thought it'd be helpful if I walked through a timeline of how we got here, because personally, when I started looking into this news, I had forgotten how long this has all been happening, and TikTok has been around for years, but this talk of a ban started all the way back in July of 2020. This was when rumors started that the US might ban TikTok due to concerns that the Chinese government could have this control over an app that is used by 100 million Americans. And in August of 2020, President Trump signed an executive order banning the app unless it's sold to an American company within 45 days. But this ban would ultimately obviously never come to be because a federal judge blocked it in December of 2020. Then if we fast forward to June of 2021, the Biden administration officially drops the TikTok bans. But fast forward 1 year later to June of 2022, and this stuff comes up again. TikTok officially transfers its traffic to the US-based Oracle servers. And in December of 2022, they announce a trust and safety team in the United States. But then things also start to heat up in December when Forbes released a report claiming that ByteDance, who is the owner of TikTok, tracked multiple journalists covering the company. And at the end of December, not a good report to have go out of your TikTok. At the end of that month, a ban was issued which restricts TikTok from the mobile devices of all federal government employees. So if you work for the government, bye-bye TikTok. Then, just last month in March, the U.S. Foreign Affairs Committee voted to give President Biden approval to ban TikTok, and talks of selling TikTok restart. TikTok's U.S. business, just to get an idea of this, it could be valued anywhere between $40 and $50 billion. Then, on March 23rd, TikTok's CEO appears before Congress in a hearing that lasted 5 hours. He was grilled on children's safety, user protection, data privacy, surveillance, and more. And I read a lot about this trial. I heard a lot about it on different podcasts, but my personal favorite quote to sum up the hearing came from Justin Sherman. He works at Global Cyber Strategies, which is a research and advisory firm. And Sherman said, quote, "The hearing was a mix of everything we've seen over the past several years when it comes to lawmakers' concerns about TikTok. From genuine national security concerns, to misguided concerns, to bizarre technology questions, to China bashing, to policy concerns about data privacy abuses. It's a mishmash of congressional attention to big tech and congressional attention to China and TikTok playing out on national television." This hearing did give me some flashbacks to when Zuckerberg was interviewed.
Totally.
And they asked him about how he makes money, and he says, "We sell ads, Senator." So Rob, I wanted to start with you. What's your take? Have you been following?
Yeah. I got to tell you, I am not a TikToker. I know that's probably a shocker.
It is a shocker.
But my daughter, Sophia, loves the platform. She's actually been on it since it was called Musical.ly back in the day. But yeah, it's really hard to escape the headlines. I mean, anytime social media intersects with politics, it becomes headlines. You got Facebook in Russia, now TikTok in China. It's definitely an exercise in posturing in politics. And, you look at, the fact that the U.S. has yet to really produce any hard evidence that TikTok is sharing user data U.S. user data with the Chinese government. So, there's still fact finding that needs to happen if there's going to be a greater case made, in my opinion. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't care. I mean, this is China, and that's a very loaded topic right now. And the fact that there's such strong ties with China, some people are not really going to care. But I do think personally, though, from a branding standpoint, the fact that they're calling their oversight committee that could happen in the United States Project Texas, I mean, what can be more American than Project Texas? They didn't pick Project Minnesota; they picked Project Texas. But I just thought that was definitely a clever way for them to kind of position the fact that they're on our side.
Yeah, they were definitely laughing at us when they named it Project Texas.
They put the big hat on and said, "Yeah."
Yeehaw, everybody, Project Texas. So, Rob, you mentioned that there's some posturing going on, and I would agree with you. I think most people would say that a ban is very unlikely. However, let's imagine for a second a ban does occur and TikTok goes away, or the way that you're able to advertise on it changes. And what impact would you expect something like this to have on marketers?
Oh gosh, I mean, kind of a crystal ball. I'm way more confident in the effect it would have on my teenage daughter than I might be on the marketing ecosystem. So many teenagers not able to do the latest TikTok, challenge, whatever that might be. But I mean, it's sizable, right? You got more than 5 million businesses across the US on TikTok, and TikTok leapfrog past Pinterest and Snapchat and Twitter. And obviously there's a lot going on with Twitter there, but to become, right, the number 2 player after Meta. So 7 billion in revenue is expected for 2023. So there's a lot at stake. And a lot of marketers have been dealing with a lot of challenges in the digital realm for other reasons, outside of overseas relations between China and the US, but just a lot of privacy challenges, et cetera. So it's just making a space that has had recent challenges even harder. We don't have to completely wonder what would happen here. This did happen in Hong Kong already. And so, back in 2020, TikTok discontinued their services there. At the time of the exit, they had a relatively modest presence in the city. It wasn't as as ubiquitous as it is in the US today, but it could be really impactful. You just think about the leadership power that TikTok has, and it's hard to disrupt. You kind of start to wonder, like, why is there dependency on a company like TikTok overseas? Why do we not have that? And it's not for lack of effort, someone to create a competing brand in the US, but you think about the benefit, I guess, that a TikTok user receives when they're on TikTok. It's you build this network of people, and that is the benefit you receive, is that all these different perspectives. And so to not have a substantial amount of users on a competing channel just makes it harder to be successful.
They've built up quite a network effect, right? And even with competitors, Instagram, I feel like their Reels product has been growing. YouTube Shorts, they've been trying to grow that. I wonder if some of these companies are potentially preparing if something does happen. How do they have services that can compete? But TikTok definitely has the greatest market share and the biggest number of users, which makes me think if it did go away, you're right, it would have a pretty sizable impact. And I do think, so whether or not a ban actually happens, one interesting thing about all of this to me was, just take aside TikTok for a second, the conversations have also centered around data privacy on social platforms in general, not just on TikTok. Obviously, TikTok's in the spotlight, but I think their CEO was really being asked a lot of questions that we want to ask to these other social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, social media in general, and data privacy is definitely a big concern. And I'm wondering if right now a lot of marketers might be dismissing the TikTok news, thinking a ban's not going to happen, that's not going to impact me. But are we missing an even bigger story here, which could be data privacy on social platforms and how those new regulations and attention might impact marketers.
Oh, gosh, yes. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think that speaks to those challenges that, I just spoke to a little bit. It's been a tricky space since privacy regulation was introduced, and is continuing to have a trickle effect. This on top of that just makes things harder. Twitter has not been a channel that many advertisers have wanted to be on. But this is going to continue to have a trickle effect, I think, in terms of privacy related to other social platforms. And I think that brands are needing to, and I think most probably are, diversify their social media presence and focus on other platforms such as Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, kind of whatever, depending on what your target audience might be. It's time to explore new marketing channels. You could be looking at podcasts. You could be looking at influencer marketing, even traditional channels like radio and TV. A lot of times I think marketers think of those channels as top of funnel awareness channels only. They can be performance channels as well. And that would help them diversify, right, against any single dependency or platform.
Right. And I think we've already seen what can happen to marketers when privacy concerns are brought up. For example, we saw with Apple, they release new privacy changes that directly impacted Facebook, and that impacted CPMs on Facebook. And the brands that were really hit the hardest were D2C brands and performance marketers. So we've already seen a little trial run of what can happen. And if you're a brand that depends on these social platforms, you're going to be in some trouble.
Right. It's a catch-22 because the smarter the platform is with your data, the more effective it is from a marketing standpoint. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship.
But I think there's also a lot of, when you think about privacy regulation and you think of audience-based targeting, we're feeling at least a shift with our clients in terms of what might be most successful, right? How accurate, when you think of a channel like CTV, might audience data be with a screen on the wall? And there's, to some degree, I think, a shift happening towards more contextual-based targeting. We've talked about this in previous episodes, which is a little ironic, just given that it feels kind of linear-like. But the data can be helpful as long as you're looking at it from the right lens and ensuring that you're kind of cross-checking what's happening. That is a smart thing to be doing as a marketer, is really exploring all of those options and really trying to understand what do you need for your brand in order to drive success with privacy and regulation outside of TikTok. It's going to continue to be a challenge. And so getting ahead of marketing strategies that are going to continue to drive new customer acquisition, repeat purchase, lifetime value, et cetera, is going to be important for marketers as we move through the end of the year and into the next.
Right. I think that's the nice thing about television too, is at least for linear TV, you're already using contextual targeting. If you learn how to make that work for your brand, it's naturally privacy compliant. So if you lean into a channel like that, you get to have some experience with contextual targeting and might even work better than some of the behavioral tracking-based targeting that you're doing on digital.
Absolutely.
One other thing I think is a watch out here for marketers is the increased attention around this stuff is leading more people to be concerned with privacy changes and tracking on these different apps. I know that the TikTok fears might differ a little bit, but I've seen just within my own friends more awareness around digital marketing. Someone asked me the other day, how do I get cookies to stop tracking me? They just didn't want any more cookies. And I said, don't you want relevant advertising? They said, nope, I don't. I just don't want any of them. And I think that when consumers start to get worried and the government starts to have more attention on it, pretty soon I'm expecting maybe in this next election cycle, this could be a platform for a lot of people. If it's becoming a concern, all of a sudden these government regulations are going to start occurring and things that I don't know how well, judging by the hearings, I don't think the government has a great idea of how all this stuff works. So I think marketers could see the rug pulled out from under them faster than they might expect.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it just further emphasizes the point of, I mean, we have to remember digital advertising didn't exist when huge brands were built, brands that we still use today. So, you know, a lot of this conversation and what you read and watch in terms of trials, it feels very doom and gloom. If you're a digital marketer that has been, you know, solely dependent or mostly dependent on those channels, it probably is sort of doom and gloom without the diversification of that strategy. But like, there is light, right? Like, there are methods today that maybe you don't look at as much as maybe what you would have 10 years ago. More traditional forms, legacy brands, or types of marketing that still can be effective, but we've all grown so accustomed to and addicted to data and understanding consumer behavior. And it's then taking those learnings and applying them to channels that maybe you haven't looked at in the past that could be effective as well.
If you're a marketer, you already know TV advertising is powerful, but launching TV is not exactly easy. That's why Marketing Architects rebuilt TV advertising to help brands drive profitable growth. Introducing All-Inclusive TV, a revolutionary approach to TV advertising where all you pay for is media. Marketing Architects provides everything else needed for success, from stunning creative to results you can trust. Visit marketingarchitects.com to learn more.
It's about moderation and taking a portfolio approach to the media mix. You know, you think about, if you're a content creator, you probably don't want to just completely double down only on TikTok, right? How do you spread your wares around, make sure that you're, you know, recognizing there's volatility there, and also looking at traditional channels.
Right. Diversification is always going to be smart.
Elena, are you on TikTok?
You know, I'm actually currently on a TikTok cleanse because I found myself just on it too much, and I got caught in some weird algorithms that weren't particularly healthy for me. I love the pet animal side of TikTok, but I got on the reality TV side and it got a little bit dark, so taking a cleanse.
It is kind of crazy if you think about, I wish I was documenting kind of the themes that I was seeing. And, you know, being a marketer, we get a little scientific and nerdy about like what led to that. I watched a video for too long or something, that now I'm seeing stuff that I don't want to see. But I joined TikTok solely initially for the purpose of stalking my own child and just making sure that what she was posting was acceptable. But I agree. All of a sudden you're like, oh my God, how many hours have gone by? And I got lost in my phone. It's just not a place I want to be. But agree with you. The otters, the sloth videos, love those. Like, so cute.
Yeah, you know, the format of I've always been more of a long form guy. I like my Netflix and everything else. But on YouTube, they did kind of suck me in with their shorts, because it's like, oh, you're just like, you know, obviously they're trying to compete with TikTok, and you're like, wow, it's kind of a little box of chocolates. You get a little snack here, a little snack there, and then all of a sudden you're binging.
I even hear about that with my parents that are elderly, and for them it's Facebook Reels. They're like, I just get watching these videos. And I'm like, yeah, you got to put that down. You got to put that down.
Yeah, I think I'll continue feeding my podcast addiction instead. I think that one might be a little bit healthier for me. Before we wrap up, I wanted to bring us back quickly to the purpose of the show, which is we're trying to answer these popular marketing questions, cover what's going on in the world of marketing through a lens of effectiveness and research to make sure we're focused on trends that matter, because this TikTok trend is definitely a big one. And I think that it also relates to this trend of an over-reliance on digital, which we've talked about on this show before. And I just like to reiterate some of the things that we said today, which are offline channels like TV, print, radio. They can be great options for brands because they build trust, they're used for signaling, and they aren't facing these same data privacy challenges that TikTok are, because you can't use them to target like you can digital. But the best part is that these channels actually bolster digital. They make digital work even harder. So we want to reiterate that we're not digital haters on this podcast. We don't think it's an either or. We really think that it's both. I think that's a great place to wrap things up. That's it for this episode of The Marketing Architects. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and if you find our show valuable, please leave us a rating and review. And if you want to know what the research says about some recent news, you can contact us at marketingarchitects.com/podcast. Now go forth and build great marketing.